Hi everyone, it's Mark here again. I'm the founder of the Arts and Culture Network. We're a growing global community of over 150,000 across our 8 LinkedIn groups. And of course, I don't get to meet everyone, but when I do, it's a delight. And I'm joined today by Clarke Jones. Clarke is one of our full members and based in Germany. And it's very much appreciated, Clarke, because as you know, we're member funded and we try to donate as much of our membership revenue as possible. So Clarke, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
It's good to see you again. We're going to have some fun today. I'm going to take you on a fantasy cultural year.
Mhm.
And I have a magic wand, a time machine, and a Star Trek transporter at our
Ah,
disposal.
that's
Okay.
that's great.
But before we do, perhaps you'd like to say hi to everyone and tell us where you're based and the work you're doing supporting other recording artists.
Yes, my name's Clarke Jones. I am based in Germany, in the area from Heilbronn. Sweigen. Sweigen is the name of the town that I'm living in. I have a record label here in Germany. Also, by the way, I'm an American that's been living and working here. That's a very long story, but I've been well. I started my record label in 2009, and basically um, working my way through the music industry without having to sell my soul to the devil, basically.
Love it. And
Yeah.
where can we find more information about the record label?
I can give you a link to my
It's linked from your LinkedIn. There's reverbnation.com, Clarke Jones Records, I think would be.
my website on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you search Clarke Jones Records, you'll be able to find Clarke, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And there are some extra links in the contact section on your LinkedIn, which is great. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Clarke Jones Records music.com. Um,
Hmm.
uh,
Exactly.
yeah, there we go. I found it. Excellent. Okay. So if somebody wants to dig deeper, and is your music on the usual streaming channels as well?
It's all the major streaming platforms. Actually, today I have a new release. Um, it's a uh, it's a single from a an artist with my record label. His name is DJ Derner. Derner. Yeah. Well, it's Thunder. Translated into German, it's called Donner. Donner. Yeah. DJ
Okay.
Donner.
And is
And
that on a is that available on Spotify, for example?
yes, it's released today. The name is Zombie Town.
Zombie Town.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very
excellent. So if
interesting.
you'd like to catch some of the music that Clarke helps produce, it's Zombie Town on search for Zombie Town on Spotify and you'll find your way and you can subscribe there. Excellent. I imagine there's also there's content on YouTube as well, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, all the major streaming platforms. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, wherever this interview appears, there'll be links in the copy that accompanies this so that people can follow it. That's great. Thank you for doing that. Now, somebody who's traveled and lived in different countries will enjoy this. I'm going to create your fantasy cultural year. Okay, there are no wrong answers and it's pretty straightforward, but it's a nice way of getting to know you a bit better. So, in order to do that, I need to place you somewhere in the world. And
Okay.
I'm going to do that by asking you, what's your favorite building?
My favorite building, I would say the Eiffel Tower.
Excellent. I normally bring pictures up to show people, but I suspect people will know what that looks like. Right, I'd like you to imagine you're sitting, there's a beautiful grass lawn area close to the Eiffel Tower in Paris there. I'd like you to imagine that you're sitting at an outside pop-up bar, cafe bar,
Mhm.
in the sun,
Okay.
in the sunshine. You're
Hmm.
almost underneath the Eiffel Tower. There it is, up above you.
Hmm.
It's 6 p.m. on a Friday evening. It's
Mm-hmm.
sunny, it's June, and there is a drink next to you. What would I find there?
A beer.
Yeah, a nice cold one. There we go.
German beer.
A nice yes, quite appropriate, very appropriate. What's your beer of choice, by the way? That would be interesting to know. If you
Uh, Pilsner.
Pilsner,
Pilsner. Doesn't matter what brand it is, as long as it's Pilsner.
okay. You're sitting there enjoying a beer, looking at the Eiffel Tower, soaking up the sunshine, and there's a book on the table next to you that you've just been reading or rereading.
Uh-huh.
It could be your favorite book. It could be a book that's been with you all your life, or it could be a recent discovery. What
Mm-hmm.
what would we find there?
A book about finding connections with film soundtracks.
A book about film soundtracks
Right.
and the connections. Love it. Excellent. Now, you're feeling quite pleased with yourself because you've just come from a meeting with a wealthy Parisian family foundation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they like to support arts research and projects.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been introduced to you, and they love the work that you're doing, helping other musicians and producing music with with the record label. And they'd
Mm-hmm.
like to hire you for a year, okay,
Mm-hmm.
at great expense.
Okay.
They'd like you to travel the world for a year
Mm-hmm.
to capture some emerging artists for your record label.
Okay.
Okay? All you have to do is to decide. Friends and family can come and visit while you're away. It's first
Mm-hmm.
class all the way, and
Mm-hmm.
they all they need to know is in what city and in what country would you start this process? You can go anywhere.
Uh, I would start in New York.
New York.
Yeah.
Okay, you're on the plane. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you turned left when you got on the plane because you're traveling first class. The steward brings you a lovely cold bottle of German Pilsner lager,
Right.
and a note from the family foundation, because there is one condition to you doing this exciting trip, and that is that you need to limit your musical listening to one very specific genre of music, to the
Okay.
exclusion of all else for a year. If
Okay.
you are challenged to do that, what type of music would you choose?
Mm, I would say pop.
Pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice broad category,
Mm.
isn't it? Yeah. Smart choice.
I'd like to add, there's only two types of music for me. That's good and bad, and I work with good music. Yeah.
That's a lovely way of putting it. That would be great. Okay, so you arrive in New York, and there's a group of young musicians who've been asked to take you under their wing. They whisk you off from JFK to a loft apartment, which is overlooking Times Square.
Hmm.
Um, you've got access to transport. Any help you need is there. Um, so they say, settle in, unpack, relax. We're going to come back and we're going to take you out to a dance performance and then
Hmm.
out to dinner. Now you're
Okay.
in New York, but because I've got a magic wand and a time machine, I can put any dance performance you like on that stage. So
Hmm.
given that choice, you could have any dancer, living or not, any group, any type of dance. What would you like to have on the stage in front of you in a dance-based performance?
Uh, belly dance.
A belly dance. Love it. Now, in our magical world, it just so happens that the World Belly Dancing Championships are happening in New York while you're there. Okay. And I've got you tickets for the final.
Wow.
So you've got 2 hours of belly dancing. I love that. That's just love it. Love it. Excellent. Now, the friends who you've made, the musicians, the young musicians are taking you out to dinner. And New York, like most major cities, offers every national cuisine you could possibly want. So they ask you to choose. So what national cuisine would you like to go for and in the restaurant?
Steak dinner.
A steak, yeah, like an Argentinian steakhouse or something like that. Yeah, that would be good with some Wagyu beef steak. There we go. Excellent. Now, well, let's whisk off to another place. We're going to use the Star Trek transporter and go to a different city somewhere else in the world. Where are we going?
Uh, I would say somewhere in Argentina,
Okay.
uh,
Um,
South America, somewhere.
yeah,
I don't
Rio.
know. Rio, yeah,
That
Rio.
that's Argentina, isn't it? Or is it
I think it's
Brazil?
Brazil. Not.
We could go to Buenos Aires. Yeah,
Hmm.
Rio's in Brazil, of course. So uh, yeah, let's go to Buenos Aires. It's the capital of Argentina. Okay, excellent. Now, it's sport day in Argentina. We know they love sport there. Some sports can be considered performance art. We had we had breakdancing in the Olympics, after all. So, what sport would you like? If you could watch any sport at all, what would you like to watch for a couple of hours?
Cricket.
Cricket, you see, full of surprises. I love it. I love it. Cricket. Somebody told me recently, any sport, there's something wrong with a sport that can last 5 days and be a draw. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and I think another anecdote, Groucho Marx was taken to Lord's cricket ground in London. Um,
Hmm.
and 2 hours after he arrived, somebody came over to him and said, are you enjoying it? And he said, I'm sure I will. When does it start? Excellent. Okay, now I'm going to whisk you off again, if you don't mind. So the Star Trek transporter, it's taking us to another city in a different country. Where would you like to go?
Uh, Venedig.
The where?
Ven Venedig in Italy. Um, yeah, it's called
Yeah.
Venedig. Or Venice. Venice.
Venice. Yeah,
Yeah,
the water-based city. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, lovely choice. Fantastic. We're sitting there in the sunshine in St. Mark's Square.
Mm-hmm.
And in St. Mark's Square, there is a new pop-up digital art gallery.
Mm-hmm.
And you can put on a pair of virtual reality glasses and step into the work of a famous artist. It's
Mm-hmm.
3 dimensions, 360 degrees. It's animated. You can see things in the picture that the artist wasn't able to show in 2 dimensions. So which famous, and you can choose any famous visual artist, whose work would you like to jump into in that way?
Oh, I'm not too good with that.
I can make some suggestions if you wish.
uh, uh, Van Gogh? Van Gogh?
Lovely choice. Great choice. All of those swirling colors of blue and yellow. We'll step into Van Gogh. That's a great choice. Excellent. Now, I'm going to fly you back to London and meet you. Okay.
Hmm.
And we're going out every night. On Monday night, we're going to a pop or rock show. Tuesday night, we're going to a theatre play. On Wednesday, we're going to a West End or a Broadway musical. On Thursday, we're going to the opera. And on Friday, we're going to the movies. Now, we can choose between us what we see, but we do have a time machine here. So I wonder if there's a concert that you would love to revisit and go back in time and watch again? Or is there a concert that you missed and you could have gone to that you deeply regret not going to?
Sade.
Oh, smooth operator. There we
Yeah.
go. Fantastic. That's a great choice. Love that. Back in her heyday.
Hmm. Yeah.
That would have
Exactly.
been what, late 80s, early 90s, that kind of thing?
in the 80s. I actually worked some of her concerts in Stuttgart in 2010, 2011, somewhere around there.
Right. Okay.
She's still looking good. Well,
Yeah,
she
she
was
is.
and then, you know.
Yeah, she's very, yeah, absolute, the epitome of cool.
Uh,
Okay, are you a theatre buff?
um, Sometimes.
Is there a play that you'd particularly like to watch?
uh, Phantom of the Opera.
Nice. That's a clever choice because you've done the musical as well. So Phantom of the Opera at the in London. That's great. And Thursday is opera. Are you an opera fan?
Not really.
So I'm going to whisk you to the Covent Garden, the Royal Opera House in London, for a performance of Tosca, which is wonderful. It's one of my favorite operas. It's full of love, tragedy, and the most incredible music. It's great. So that will be that. Now, for Friday, for film night, there's a big IMAX surround cinema on the River Thames. We've got the best seats in the house, wonderful sound, high definition. What film would you love to watch in those circumstances on the big screen?
The newest film from, well, the latest film from The Matrix.
Oh, okay. That's a great trilogy, isn't it? Uh,
Mhm.
fantastic. That's going to be incredible with that
Yeah.
surround. Excellent. Now we're nearly there. You're going to go off and travel around the world doing this research and music producing project so that your label, which has been invested in by this French company, is going to buck the trend of failing record labels. And because of the way that you work, they're confident it's going to be great. They're so confident there'll be a TED talk in it when you get back. There's a book deal, a TV series, and you're going to go on a global university lecture tour on how to save the future of recorded music in these modern streaming days. But before I let you go off and do your whole year of study, friends and family have come over to visit you, and they've gone back home, and we're in London still, and I've booked a restaurant, a steak restaurant, an Argentinian steak restaurant in central London for you, and you can invite any single person, okay,
Mhm.
living or not, famous
Okay.
or otherwise, to have a chat to for a couple of hours, and they will come. Who would you choose?
Donald Trump.
Really? Really? um, I'm tempted, without being overly political, to ask you, would that be ironic or would that be from a point of admiration?
Admiration. I mean,
Okay.
he's really been through the ringer, but he still came out on top. You know.
Yeah, I think most people would have to admit, at the very least, a grudging admiration for anyone who can achieve what he did to become president the first time, but to do it again with a bigger majority,
Yeah.
you know, incredible, incredible, excellent. There you go. You've had lunch with Donald Trump. Um, so there we go. That's your fantasy cultural year, Clarke. I hope you've enjoyed it. If if
Yeah.
if we ever get the chance to set up a travel agency, I shall make sure that we include that itinerary in it. This has been great, Clarke. Thank you so much for being a good sport and doing this. This will go pretty much everywhere. We'll embed this interview in a profile that we'll write about you that will go on the website. That'll be on YouTube and Spotify video and SoundCloud. And we'll also promote it at the top of the LinkedIn groups, which are quite busy, which is good. And then it'll hit all our other socials as well. So thank you so much for being a good sport and doing this today, and for being one of our full members.
Yeah. Not a problem. Thank you. Thank you as well.
Thanks again, Clarke.
Yeah. Okay.